I started playing at age 11, 12, Form 1, Southeast Portsmouth Secondary School. I was introduced to the instrument there from that perspective. I hear pan before, heard it in the community, had a community band and all that. But from a playing perspective, Form 1, Southeast Portsmouth Secondary School. And from then to now, I never stopped playing. So I'm a professional musician first. I've been to UE. I did my undergrad at UE. I did my certificate first and then my undergrad at University of West Indies. I also did my Royal Schools of England grades and all that. So I got all the way up to grade 7, I think it was, in both theory and practical. Completed my degrees. I served as a musician too at the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. So I played at the national level. I did my master's in 2014 with an emphasis on Steelpan. My master's was in conducting, so I'm a professional conductor. I also directed the National Steel Symphony Orchestra after that. So I spent 8 years there as the director of the National Steel Symphony Orchestra, artistic director and conductor, if I may add. So, professional musician. I also did a lot of things in the community spaces, from ranging from single band, small bands, medium bands, making the finals in all the categories. I never won, but it was still a lovely journey, just even qualifying for the finals and building up bands and teams around that experience. I came first in all the categories in Panorama, but as an arranger, the closest I got to the victory was first, but I had to minus points because I went overtime. So we fell at, I think, 4th place at that year. But I did win music festival. I came first in the ensemble category and the chamber category in music festival, Queensland Music Festival. And this year, I was the music director of the Coventry Islanders. And we ran 2nd in that Pan is Beautiful Festival. That was my first major festival as well. So Exodus, right there, but I ended up coming 2nd with Coventry Islanders and with Quadmasters. Andrew I being the arranger, composer, and Quadmasters. I'm glad you said void because that's where it came from. It came from seeing a problem and needing to be solved. Working at the National Steel Symphony Orchestra, we had needs. One being tuning, refurbishing of pans, and all these different things. I mean, we are performing at the highest level in the country. And the pans, the optics around the instruments, and then the quality of the song really needs to be at the highest level. And some of the times the tuners weren't available because, again, they too are traveling the world, servicing all these different spaces. So we had limited amount of resources to do this specialized service. So that's one flag. The other flag was, I was a teacher at UTT, adjunct lecturer at UTT, so I actually worked at UTT as well. And the students, we had a lot of students, over close to 100 students. But for some reason, I'm directing an SSO, but we don't have no space for them. But we have reached our cap in terms of our hiring. Where are all these students going? Where are all these students going? And I was like, are we setting them up to fail? That was the feeling. But unless we build out, which I call pillars or institutions, so when these professionals graduate, they can go into these institutions, we will not have any opportunity for career for these students who are spending a lot of time preparing and working for this 4 years. So that's where it started. And the other thing that kind of engendered division was, doing my master's, I met Dr. Cliff Alexis and Liam Teague. And we spent a lot of time together as the grad assistants, Cliff, and Liam was my lecturer. And we talk a lot about the bigger picture, or the big picture, beyond our island, and where partners reach around the world and all these different things, and the void from the manufacturing, the void from the tuning, the void from performers, just to push and further expand possibilities for the instrument. And I kind of came back home with that energy. I mean, I had a Fulbright scholarship, so I was able to spend a lot of time in the States and just engulf myself in the culture and a first world type of approach towards living. And I came back home with that energy, and I really wanted to see more and more and more. That enthusiasm. 2018 specifically, it's a God story. I got a vision. It was clear as day. It was almost like what you're seeking, Akua, this is what you need to do. You need to build out pillars. And he said there are 8 pillars. Manufacturing. And for the manufacturing end, there were 2 things. Quality, and also quality of instruments and quality of space. Because most of our artisans, craftsmen, do a fine job in terms of the quality of the pans. But sometimes when the place where they work out of may not be conducive for the type of greatness you're seeing in terms of song or hearing in terms of song. So the space, the optics around the space had to be part of that manufacturing pillar. So a state-of-the-art facility where you will entice the youth to see manufacturing as a possible career path, because these youths today, they don't want to be part of anything that doesn't show some type of, I should say, the environment and the optics of the environment doesn't entice learning and that type of thing. So the space had to be able to encourage you to see this as a viable career path. So that's where MITTCO comes. That's pillar 1. Pillar 2 was education. Okay, we have the manufacturers, we have the professionals who are doing quality work in a quality space, and we showing the world that we are taking this instrument serious. But who is going to carry on that legacy? We have to build out a Steelpan Institute and a Steelpan Conservatory, where we focus on the performance, we focus on the composing and the arranging, but we also focus on the manufacturing. Pillar 2, we must have that. Pillar 3, a private orchestra. And the private orchestra acts like any other orchestra where marketing is concerned. This is the possibilities. When the years goes to Germany, there are command performance, and then Germany, all the Germans, I want a band. Or I want to start a band. Okay, they point them back to the manufacturer, you make the pans. Okay, they have the pans. Who gonna teach them? They point them back to the conservatory. And so we have a whole ecosystem of things building out around the instrument. Going to untapped markets, like for instance Africa, 25,000 plus schools, our capacity is about 100 ensembles a year kind of thing. And that's yet to be confirmed, but that's what we think we could do. And it will take us, based on that maths, maybe 200 years to outfit Africa with pan in schools. What about China? What about Chile? What about the Caribbean? So you get to realize now the opportunities of scale and market is now vast. So okay, all right, it's exciting now. We need people to do this, and there's opportunity all over the world, and we have to engender that. Pillar 4, a museum. Where did the instrument come from? How was it? It was rusty, convex. Before it became concave, it was once ping pong pans, very small instruments with a few notes. Now we're using 55-gallon drums. They were cut with cutlasses. Now we're using laser cutters. How did the instrument evolve? Can we touch and feel? Can we have a virtual experience of where the pan came from? And then beyond that, a Hall of Fame. Who was responsible for that evolution? Who are the persons who wanted to get more notes, and why did they want to get more notes? You know? So can we have now a Hall of Fame where beyond the success of the panoramas and all these other things, they could be inducted and their stories could be told for generations to come, you know, and immortalize that whole space. And also give persons like myself a level of enthusiasm to want to become a Hall of Famer. As basketball have it, we have talked about football, business. We should see that as part of our ecosystem as well. Pillar 6, money, research, development, and scholarships. Because I believe the instrument is extremely young compared to other instruments, and we have moons to go. But are we using the best steel? Are we approaching tuning with using the best material? What about somebody going and do some type of research or thing on acoustics, on metallurgy, the science of steel, the science of sound, all these different things, these skill sets that are needed to kind of carry the instrument on another level. So I believe giving financial support to scholarships and also giving legs to research could have engendered that type of evolution. Pillar 7, we talk about a festival. Panorama is great. Somebody wins and everybody loses. I think as much as I'm a competitive guy, competition is just one part of it. We need to create an opportunity for creation where everybody wins. You can showcase what you're doing with the instrument. locally and also internationally. Something that brings the world together just to show their own love and appreciation for this instrument. I tend to say Pan was a gift from God, entrusted to Trinidad and Tobago to create a Caribbean voice to share with the world. And that is where you're seeing it, because we can't hold it and say, hey, this is mine. No, we need to release it, but always have the world coming back for us for the best practices, the best systems, the best approaches, and that around the instrument. But we need to release it to the world. So we need to have that festival. Maybe we'll bring some type of convention along with that, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And the last pillar was a performance piece. We talk about Mecca. Mecca in two forms. Mecca, you know, it's from the Muslim faith, but everybody travels to Mecca. And at that stage, truly, is the same concept. To become a true panist, you must travel to Mecca, Trinidad, to perform in this experience. Name it panorama. Let's say in a performance space. Maybe that performance space is panorama, but we need to be able to market it as that. This is what gives you the tick of approval as a panist. And you travel to Mecca at different times of the year to be able to be inducted or to have that rite of passage. You know, but on a tangible perspective, I see a space with a retractable roof that opens up to nature and have the elements around you, and then you're premiering a piece of the moon while the new moon is suspended over the space and all that type of thing. So it was a crazy idea. And those 8 pillars came, and I wrote it down with a sense of enthusiasm. 4:30 that morning, maybe about 3 o'clock. These ideas are just pouring into my soul. Those pillars, firstly, I had to buy into it on my own, because it's all this boy, this is a big idea. But I also saw the pillars as one idea rather than 8 pillars. So I'm tackling this from all fronts, writing down ideas and all these different things, and then eventually I had to share with people. Mario, I saw him in a car park. Because what I found the pillars to do is bring all of us together. He's no longer just a tuner. I'm no longer just a musician. We have now created an ecosystem that we realize each one of us supports each other. And if you are out of context in that ecosystem, it will affect me, and vice versa. So now I'm seeing one big energy towards what the fraternity needed. Pitched to Mario, I spoke to my mentor, Mr. Hackett, and everybody who gave me good vibes, I maintained the conversation with. People who gave me bad vibes, I stopped talking to them. So 2019, and this is a significant point of the entire thing, Dr. Len Buxishab came up from Cuba, and the manager at the time was Michelle Huggins-Watts, and she said, it was recommended from Cuba that, get Bugsy involved with music that is happening on almost on a 24-hour basis, so every day. And that's the only place that was happening is at NSSO. So that's our job. We know I was the director at the time. And he said, can Bugsy come and do some work with you all? I said, that would be excellent. We could do artist in residence, and then we'll have him come in and do compositions, and we'll have a big splash at the end. And we agreed upon that. First 3 months, the sponsor at the time was Hadco. They would have paid for him. And the last 3 months, the ministry kind of took on the project, and we meant it. So we spent 6 months with Dr. Len Buxishab doing conversations and compositions with the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. And I'll pick him up after to go to work, and I'll drop him back and all these things. So we had a very nice, spent a lot of time together. And in that space, he more or less offered, like, oh, I need some support by face, so I need you to let's come and drill the band for us now. I wasn't interested, to be honest. I said no a few times, because I'm working on this idea here, I mean, I came from All Stars as well, and, I didn't really understand, so I said no. Nevertheless, eventually, I said, yes, you know what, let me take on the opportunity, because Boozy's seen something in me that maybe I'm not seeing it myself, and you really needed the support. So I said, no problem, I'll come in and work with Face with him. And in that space, of course, get reintroduced into the big band life, and I said, okay, all right, there's some energy here. So at the end of that stint, I went back, this ecosystem needs to be done. And he came again and said, oh, can you manage the band? I said, no, that's it. I manage the band, that's a bit much. But again, being persistent as he is, I did give in. But in giving in, I shared with him the bigger picture, the ecosystem, which I just shared with you. And he said, "Akua, that's a big idea, you know, I just need a little help, you know what I mean?" So I went in and worked with Phase 2 as the manager at the time. And I said, assistant managers, myself and Joseph Leonard, both of us went in as co-managers. And we built all the Then Bookshop Academy, we started the Phase 2 Junior Band, we worked on the state side, so there's a lot of good energies was unfolding. I was introducing the sponsors, so now I'm having sponsors meeting and all these different things. So I was really engulfed into the band. And later in maybe October of that year or something like that, we were having a directors meeting and sponsorship meeting. And we said, "Hey, cool, tell Johnny your idea." You know, the hardcore team and saying, "Okay, alright," because I'm living this thing. And at that time, they offered to be mentors. Like, "Oh, you know what, it sounds like a good project. Do you have a team?" I said, "Yes, I have a team." And so 11 days, let's have a conversation and we see what comes from there. At that time, Mario, let me start scrambling, trying to understand what's going on here because I didn't understand totally. And he gave us a listening ear and came in as mentors just to finish that business proposal that I was kind of chasing on. Assigned me to a great person in hardcore. Her name is Cindy Sukalbeni, and both of us spent about 8-9 months because clearly I didn't understand what I was doing. And she really formed that into a proper business proposal. In those meetings is where we asked them to come in as partners with us and really give us that support we need, because Mario and I know the fraternity. They know business, Mr. Akit know finance. It's almost like a perfect mix of persons to really take this idea forward. And 2020 is where we solidify that relationship. And now here we are, you know. But that is, to me, there's genius in that. There's something spiritual there. To see those different sectors or minds coming together to work on this common goal, which is beyond just Steelpan, is our national instrument. To me, this is heritage. This is the thing that keeps Trinidad going in a positive way, and the Caribbean by extension. And you're seeing the world now taking this instrument and adopting it for themselves. So I'm really grateful to have that directorship and the diverse directorship as well coming in on this project. So the 8 pillars, to be honest, I think I must champion the brain trust of the Haddad brothers, Mr. Hackett, the experience of that team. He really was able to hold on and say, okay, this is the ecosystem. Because my directors time, Mr. Hackett, say, "Akua, stop trying to boil the ocean," because I seen everything. But we had to find a starting point, and the best starting point had to be the instrument. If you think about it, had to go to the drum. Let's get that right. Let's understand what it takes to manufacture the instrument, and then we build out the rest. We don't think we need to do all 8. I think 8 pillars are needed, but we more or less focusing on 3: the manufacturing, the conservatory / institute, and the orchestra. Those 3 pillars are already up and running. We have the online academy already there, and we just started maybe 4 or 5 months ago the MITTCO ensemble, where the MITTCO ensemble plays on the MITTCO pans and they're professional musicians. I had to take that box of music too, because I mean, I'm not into business, but I'm a musician as well. So those 3 pillars are unfolding. And I mean, watching the ecosystem to see that there was a scientific approach and we did all these prototypes and all that, I don't think that was what transpired. It was instinctive. Yes, we're going to start MITTCO, the manufacturing space. Mario have over 35 years in that space. I have over 30 years in that space. So we know what we needed. The product is not a new product. MITTCO is not the first manufacturing company. So because of our experience, our wealth of experience, we were able to tick the boxes of what worked and solve problems of what didn't work and pull those things together, you know? And that gave us the channel to walk in. Okay, we should have a manufacturing space, something that is tangible, people can come and visit. On the hardcore end, there's a certain standard to that as well. So they will have come with the which I will call the optics and all these different things to give some credence to what we call our national instrument as well. But Mario and I were clean on, okay, these will be different rooms, the spaces, how the manufacturing will flow, and how much space that will cover and all these different things. So we did that bare bone, and we did what I will call a architectural drawing, virtual architectural drawing that we walk through like so often and move walls, put spaces and these different things. But we got that right, I believe. How the factory is laid out and it's purpose built for the operation. So that was that. And then when we got that right, we actually, before we did the building, we actually had an off-site operation where we test our production. We test the camaraderie, the guys and the girls who were working there, and make sure we had the right prototype for the instrument, because as you know, pan is not standardized. But what is the MITTCO standard? Which layout are we going to use to manufacture our instruments on a daily basis? And what we did to get that information, which instrument was most frequently used in terms of tenor, double tenor, double seconds, which orientation of those were most frequently used, and that mapped out our MITTCO standard. We still do customized orders for pans that are not really orchestrated that way, but that comes as separate and apart. But on a daily basis, we are making our MITTCO standard. So those were the things that kind of channel. I mean, we did a strategic plan for 3 years. We did our whole marketing system. We spent a lot of work just talking and getting the details and doing research and spending a lot of money before we even started to do that. But we really wanted to get it right and have enough information to dictate how we are going to approach this whole business operation. This is where the magic starts.